Okay, so I am going to skip ahead for a moment and I'll come back and make a separate video on these just in case you did actually figure out everything from yesterday. So here's where our newness, the way that we're going to apply this in a more mathematical way other than just learning your theorem and postulates. So they will tell you that angle or triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So that means I know that angle A matches up with angle D. And I know angle B matches up with angle E, because that's the order. So B, E, D goes with A. And then I know that C goes with F. So C matches up to F. So even though the orientation of these triangles changed, that's because of their listing, I know that's how they match. So then A to C is going to go from D to F. And then I'm probably going to run out of colors. B to C, so green to blue, green to blue, those match up. And then last but not least, this guy goes with this guy. And ideally, you want to name A to B and then D to E. So if we were to list them, again, so that's A to B is congruent. So side AB is congruent to D, E, because red to green, red to green. And then if we did side B, C is congruent, means we went from green to blue. So it's EF, green to blue. And then blue to red. If I do side CA is congruent to blue to red. So FD. Then our angles, angle A is congruent to angle D. Angle C is congruent to angle F. If you do have colors, I highly recommend it. I'm not doing this just because it really does help, because we all know that we'll start to do a math worksheet and all of a sudden just get sidetracked. But once they're colored, if anything happens, you can come straight back to it and jump right back in. Now, this question is telling us to solve for X. So this is not necessary for this question, but it is for the conversation if you don't know directly where to go. So I know that I want to solve for X, which is side BA. So I'm going to pay attention to BA, which is here, or AB. And that means I'm going to focus on its equivalent over here to DE. It's congruent. So that means 2x minus 2 is equal to 6. And I need to solve for x. So I'm going to pretend like this is just a basic equation. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get that x by itself. Then the inverse of 2 times x is division. So I'm going to divide by 2. So x equals 4. And we answered this question. Now, as sophomores, make sure that when you're done with this math, you almost ask yourself again, find the value of x. Okay, that does say x equals 4. Because these questions will also be worded as, what is the side length AB? Which in this case, it doesn't work. But when they both have, I mean, it does. But if they both have expressions, so like 2x minus 2 and then 6x minus 4, then they will have you solve for x and plug it back in, just so you aren't caught off guard. So good rule of thumb, as soon as you finish your math, go read your question again. Find the value of x. This does say x equals, so we're done with this guy, and we did it. Now, our second question is find the measure of angle F. So this angle up here. Now, you should have learned this somewhere in 8th grade, but it's been a while. So you should know that the angles, some of the angles in a triangle, so all angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. So all 3 angles, add them together, should give you 180 degrees. If B is 53, and we already know that's the same as E, then this is 53 as well. And if I know 53 and 90, so for angle D is 90, angle E is 53. And if I add those together, I get 143. And I know that the sum of the 3, so whatever F is, whatever I can add to this, has to give me 180. So you can do 180 minus 143, or however the math works in your head. So you end up with that 7, which gets us up to 150. And then we have 3. So 37 degrees is what F is. So 37 degrees as our answer for our second part question. I'm going to go ahead and make one more example on this video just to keep it sorted together. Make sure you get all your notes down there because this is important. Okay, so list all of congruent parts. So this is like the last one. Again, it's just calling out that you know that E goes with H, F goes with G, and then G goes with F. So the congruent parts, so angle or side EF is congruent to side HG. EF is congruent to HG because they're the order in which they're written. And then FG is congruent to side GF. And then side EG, or we'll keep reading in order. So GE is congruent to, we want blue to red, so FE. Sorry, FH. Jumping back and forth, trying to do too many things in my head. Sorry, guys. FH. And the reuse of your G, because we don't have a picture, don't worry about it too much. It just means that they're sharing, they are probably angles because there's two other letters that are not. So ideally, you could assume that it looks something like this, and we know G's in here, and they're vertical angles because it's the only letter set that matches. There will be a lot of Math 3 style questions where you do not have pictures. So we are going to practice that with this in a couple more slides down in the next video. So you do want to think about what you're reading and what it might look like. So try to visualize. All right, last but not least for this video, we know that WX, so W to X, this is congruent to XY. I'm sorry, ZY. And then we know that XY is congruent to YX. So X to Y is congruent to YX. And in this case, this is a shared side. So it's two triangles sitting on top of each other. And then we know that WY is congruent to ZX. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now that we know that all of that, we do know that these three triangles are congruent by side, side, side. So if you're trying to remember which rules you use, now to solve for the variables. So again, this one dash means this side matches up with this side. So if I'm solving for P, I could do 7P plus 13 is equal to 20. Then solve for P. I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides because it's attached by addition. So 7P equals 7. Then this is multiplication. So we're going to divide by 7 because that's the inverse. And P equals 1. So we have our first answer. We need to solve for Q. So Q, that will be this side is congruent to this side. Now, be careful because that 11 is not the whole thing. So that's where they're going to get you on this one. So the whole thing is actually equal to 16 because there's 5 and then 11. So to solve for Q, we're going to write 2Q plus 3 equals 16. We'll make our big great divide. Make sure we do things on both sides. So minus 3 from both sides. 2Q equals 13. Then 2. Oh, and you know what? I called it on one side, but I didn't. Let's back up. We have another 5 right here. So we need to add 5 to that 3. So there'd be a 5 on this side too. So this is actually 8. So we want to subtract 8 from both sides, which does not give us 13. It gives us a positive 8. Because 16 minus 8 is 8. Now divide by 2. And Q is going to equal 4. So just to circle back, because I even sort of missed it because of all my markings, this entire side is 2Q plus 3 plus 5 to get all the way down to X. Just this segment alone was 2Q plus 3. So we can't say that this little short segment here is equal to this whole segment here. So that's why we had to add that 5 to that 3. All right, guys. Hope you got that down.